the 7th seed. Lakers and Timberwolves, 16-7 of the Lakers since the All-Star break. That's the best record of the Western Conference. 2 minutes left in the game. You knew LeBron would be a factor. He very much was. Look at this three, drains it, ties it, 95 all. We said yesterday the Lakers expected, even though the T-Wolves were shorthanded, they were going to be a problem. Just over 30 seconds to play. Austin Reeves inbounded the ball. Taurean Prince steals it, tries to control it, collides with the diving LeBron. LeBron called for the foul. He didn't agree. That's not breaking news. Under 30 to go, game still tied. How about this? Good defense by Anthony Davis. Critical, costly backcourt violation. Final seconds of the game. Watch this dish to Dennis Schroeder. LeBron finds him open. Ice in the man's veins. Lakers up 3 with 1.4 seconds left. And just in case the bench needed to see it, see that, guys? It's ice. LeBron, dish, ice. 1.4 seconds left. Inbounds to Mike Conley. I don't know that this was a foul. I don't know that it was a foul. It doesn't matter what I think, it was called. So Conley hit the first two, needs to hit the third to send it to overtime. So start of overtime, game still tied. What a game this was. I'll tell you what about LeBron. He was distributing at a high level last night. Finds Rory Hachimura for 3. Lakers up 3. Under 2 in overtime. Lakers up 3 still. James to Davis underneath. Lakers up 5. You know, you talk about load management and everything in the regular season. Look at LeBron. I mean, he's gassed. Both teams just, you lose, you got to keep playing to get back in. Lakers wanted to get back in. Costly turnover here. A look for Prince. No good. LeBron, 30 points, and that's as good of a game as you're going to get. 108-102. Lakers survive in overtime.
We've been very resilient, been able to stick with the game and, find a way to gut it out and win, either with slow starts or, not finishing the game off how we would like to, but, just always trying to find a way. And tonight was another instance of that versus a very, very, very good team.
It's disappointing. You think, I feel like we put a lot of effort in. I thought we fought. We were very scrappy. I thought we did a lot of great things. And, it's difficult when you leave without a win and you feel you played good enough to win,
And T-Wolves not out of it. They got one more game ahead of them. They'll play the winner of the next play-in game tonight. The Timberwolves shot 2 of 16 in the final 6 minutes of the fourth quarter and overtime. Included the shot clock violations. They finished with 7 points, 8 turnovers during that span. The Lakers are moving on to take the Grizzlies. LA won 2 or 3 games against the Grizzlies this season, but the series was separated by just 2 points. Let's bring in Monica McNutt to break down this overtime thriller. And Monica, look, Lakers set out to get the win. They get that. It took overtime. Minnesota was pesky. Nonetheless, they move on. But what didn't you like about the Lakers last night in this win?
I mean, there's a couple things to choose from, Barry, if I want to, but I will say the late game decision-making is an absolute thorn in my side. There were approximately 7,000 turnovers in the last 3 minutes of that ball game, and it was ridiculous. From LeBron James in particular, someone who you trust. Obviously, 7,000 is exaggeration, but if this is a team that is going to go and do something special this postseason, they cannot have self-inflicted errors. The biggest being Anthony Davis fouling Connolly at the end of regulation. And so that was something that was largely concerning for me in this ball game. I also was a little bit concerned about the absence of D'Angelo Russell. He's someone that I think is going to have to be important if the Lakers are going to go on a run. And I actually thought that he got injured in the ball game, and I might have missed it until he went back in the overtime period. And so they need to keep their key guys on the floor, and they have to do better with the basketball. They had 20 turnovers in the game.
D'Angelo, part of that acquisition that made them have the best record of the Western Conference since the All-Star break. I did check with research, 7,000 turnovers. It's not accurate, but we're good there. Elias Sports Bureau also confirmed it. But there's already some smack talk. I love it between the Lakers and Grizzlies. Dylan Brooks had this to say on Facing LBJ, quote, "I wouldn't mind playing LeBron in a 7-game series. The legacy is there. First time back in the playoffs. Knock him out right away in the first round. It'll test us good. They got good pieces, good players, and that'll be a good first round matchup for us." Monica, I love this stuff going into a series. What do you make of that from Dylan Brooks?
I'm with you, Barry, and I got to push back. Is this smack talk, or is this someone that is competitive in assessing the matchup that is looming in the next round of the playoffs for them? I don't think that this is anything out of the ordinary. First of all, we know that Dillon Brooks is all first team, all talk. Now, the challenge is going to be for this Memphis Grizzlies squad to back it up with discipline and smart basketball. The absence of Steven Adams is noted. The absence of Brandon Clark is noted. Do I think they still have the pieces to get out of this series? Yes, but it's going to require that they not have any self-inflicted errors, in particular, combusting from an emotional and decision-making standpoint.
You know what? You swayed me. It's just confidence. They're the 2 seed. Lakers are the 7 seed. The record indicates they're the better team.
There you go.
See, we did a lot. We confirmed stats. You changed me on that one. LeBron James, 30 points, 10 rebounds. Lakers snagged the 7th spot in the Western Conference in their overtime 108-102 win against the shorthanded Timberwolves in the NBA's play-in tournaments. There was a bad foul by AD, clutch free throw shooting by Mike Conley, and one game that was a microcosm of the Lakers season. Here's Dave McNutt.
With the Lakers trailing by double digits in the second half of their play-in game against Minnesota on Tuesday, they developed a mantra. We've got to get rest, Anthony Davis said, and so the Lakers pushed themselves until their tanks were on E, according to LeBron James, so they would earn 4 days off to recuperate and recalibrate for a matchup with Memphis in the first round. The Lakers will take a couple days off. Austin Reeves says he'll hit the golf course to recharge. Others mention family time. And then practice Friday and fly to Tennessee on Friday afternoon so they can get in another practice in Memphis on Saturday and adjust their bodies to the central time zone before an early tip-off for Sunday's Game 1. When offering his quick thoughts on the series, LeBron James rattled off tidbits on 7 different Grizzlies players before adding facetiously, "Obviously, I haven't thought about Memphis 1 minute." In Los Angeles, I'm Dave McMenamin, ESPN.
Thanks, Dave. Well, a little bit of history as the Lakers look to become the first 7 seed to win a first-round playoff series since the Spurs did it 13 years ago. 7 seeds are just 5-73 against 2 seeds in the first round of the playoffs. Lakers did win 2 of 3 against the Grizz this season, but the entire series separated by just 2 points. Trae Young, Jimmy Buckets, Hawks in the 8th seed, Heat in the 7th. So this thing was in Miami, and Trae averages 20 points a game in his career against the Heat in the playoffs. That's actually his lowest against any opponent. But here he is taking it across half court. He's got 3 defenders focused on him, so he just dishes to Sadiq Bey, who drops the 3. At this point, the Hawks are up 11. Young, once again, all eyes on him. Another behind the back this time to Bey for 3, as the Hawks were 5 of 9 on threes off of Trae's passes in the first half. Udonis Haslem, it's his last season there, and he was just imploring his team, guys, you got to get going. But they didn't. The Hawks were up 18 when Young drives and finishes easily. They led by as many as 24 in the first half, and Haslem's just scratching his head at this point. Closing seconds of the half, Kyle Lowry inside, and the Heat still trailing by 15 at the half. In the third quarter, it's Butler cutting back door. Bam! Adebayo finding him for the dunk. The Heat pull within 9. A few minutes later, Butler back it down to DeJounte Murray. That turnaround jumper plus the foul, and then Bogdan Bogdanovic missing a 3 here. Clint Capella was a monster on the boards. 21 rebounds. Hawks back up 8. Bay's going to miss here. John Collins gets the board. A cutting Bay. Hawks pull down 22 offensive rebounds. They go on to win 116-105. Here's Trae.
We were just more the more physical team tonight, and that was a big emphasis tonight. Just being more physical and didn't let them really set up on defense and get on half court. We were playing more in attack mode and transition, and it helped. I was really focused on the night and making sure we won. I know Jimmy guaranteed a dub, so I was really focused on making sure that didn't happen.
I don't think there's too much to say. We knew the game within the game was the rebounding, the fouling. We knew why we lost. You know, it's easily correctable, but you got to want to do it. You got to put bodies on bodies. You got to jump up and grab the ball and not foul. Come Friday, we got to play like legit the exact opposite that we played tonight.
Yeah, they get one more chance, a crack at that 8th seed on Friday. The Hawks, meanwhile, they're in as the 7, dominating the glass. Out-rebounding the Heat 22-6. Clint Capella, more offensive rebounds all by himself than the entire Heat team. And all of those boards, those led to the Hawks outscoring Miami by 20 on second chance points, as Monica is back with us. And I don't know if you saw Trae Young's interview on TNT afterwards, Monica, but within like the first 2 sentences, he said the word physicality 5 times. That pretty much spelled it out. What impressed you about Atlanta last night?
I thought the physicality that the Hawks were willing to play with, but also in particular, Trae Young getting off the basketball very quickly. I thought they played with snap, crackle, and pop, as I like to say, in their half-court offense. There's a lot of passing and cutting. I liked Trae's shot selection. Sometimes I think he's susceptible to taking bad threes, but overall, the ball moved well. He had 7 assists and 8 boards to point out to add to that rebounding stat that you mentioned, Hannah. So I like the way that this offense played. Capella, Collins, Herter, all those guys on the back end, like they used their length. They were flying around defensively. It looked really good for the Hawks.
Listen, we have seen Trae Young go on the road in a hostile environment, just ask the Knicks, right, and really bear down and surprise us with performances. Now they have to go into Boston Garden, though, and look for some of that old swag. And they have Quinn Snyder as coach. They're heavy underdogs, Monica, but what fascinates you about this series?
I think it's those 3 names that I just mentioned in terms of their athleticism and ability to defend on the back end. Capella was terrific. I mean, that's an interesting matchup when you think about Robert Williams or Al Horford. You obviously have Collins, and then you have Herter. Like, if Bogdanović is hitting threes as well, like, this could be a little bit more interesting. I don't think that the Hawks will beat the Celtics, but I think you're starting to see glimpses of what this team could look like next year with Quinn Snyder at the helm from the beginning.
Yeah, Caesars has them as huge favorites, minus 1,000 odds to win this series. Yeah, the play-in tournament continuing tonight, Matt, beginning with the Bulls against the Raptors. Toronto's won 3 straight home games against Chicago. The winner is going to get the Heat. The loser is going to go home. Now let's talk about the late game tonight. It's the Pelicans hosting the Thunder. Now, in each of the last 2 seasons, the West 9 seed is the one that actually won its way into the playoffs, and that included New Orleans last season. Timberwolves are going to await the winner of this one. Again, the loser goes home.
And as for the Pelicans, Zion Williamson went third person Tuesday when asked about his health and when he might return to the court. Right now, it appears it's more of a mental than physical hurdle for him. And oh, by the way, Pelicans playing game tonight. Hannah just mentioned it against Thunder, 9:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. All hands needed. Here was Zion yesterday.
A little bit of a mental battle. Because, you know, when I re-aggravated it back in February, it was tough. So when I go to make certain moves, there is that hesitation. Sometimes there's not, but sometimes there is. And I understand the magnitude of these games coming up, and I don't want to be out there hesitating or doing something that may affect my team in a bad way.
Would go on to say, until I'm more like Zion, I can't play. So for more on Zion and the Pelicans, we welcome in Andrew Lopez. He is the New Orleans-based reporter ahead of tonight's game. So Zion has not played since January 2nd. We just heard from him a moment ago on when he plans to return. Give me the feeling around the team on this.
You know, so right now, obviously, everybody wants to see Zion come back. When they had Zion earlier in the season, they're at the top of the Western Conference standings. And without him, it just hasn't been the same. And I think, as you heard yesterday, yeah, I'm going to come back when I feel like Zion. What exactly does that look like? He mentioned the mental hurdle. He mentioned not being able to feel like himself, not wanting to hurt the team. So I still feel like we're a little bit of a ways away. If they are able to do what they did last year as the number 9 seed, as you guys mentioned, make it out of the out of the play-in tournament and into the first round, maybe we could see him then. But again, it's all kind of going to be on a feel as, you know, what Zion feels like, feeling like himself again.
Yeah, and I can imagine this is frustrating, too, with the magnitude of this game coming up tonight. So that begs the question, who needs to step up with Zion out to secure that win?
Well, it's going to have to be Brandon Ingram, and he's going to have to do what he's basically done for the last 15 games or so, which has been play at an extraordinary level. He has kind of shifted to being the point guard. They kind of made that switch after, a loss to Oklahoma City back in March. They shifted Brandon to kind of being on the ball more, kind of pulling CJ McCollum off the ball more as he deals with a thumb injury. But Brandon has really stepped up his game in the last, month or so. And I think if they are to get by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and the Oklahoma City Thunder tonight, they're going to have to lean a lot on Brandon Ingram.
9:30 tonight, ESPN. Andrew, thank you.
As we're with Monica McNutt now, and Andrew just led us right into our topic, and that's Oklahoma City Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So impressive, Monica. He's led this team to the play-in without the number 2 pick, Chet Holmgren, with the second youngest roster in NBA history. What impact do you expect SGA to have tonight in this do-or-die game against the Pels?
Well, Hannah, I expect him to continue to score the basketball at a high level like he's done all season long. I think the beauty in his game is that very rarely do you see him rushed, and of course he can score at all 3 levels, but he's got a terrific supporting cast around him. Like, this team plays so well off of him. I mentioned both of the Jay Wills that they've got that have been tremendous, and Mark Dangal told us when we had a game in New Orleans about this group that they just work really hard and they work really well together. And so some might say about the timeline and if OKC is arriving early or later, all that good stuff. But in terms of a core to build around that enjoys one another, that enjoys playing with one another, SGA is the centerpiece of all of that, and it's worked really well.
Yeah, he's a guy that wasn't all about the retooling of this team at all. He's right where he wanted to be, trying to lead his team into the postseason. The winner of this one plays the T-Wolves on Friday, and obviously they are going to have Rudy Gobert back for that one. So let's pivot to the East, Monica. Toronto is a 6-point favorite against the Bulls. This is their 4th meeting this season. Raptors won the regular season series 2-1, but the Bulls have been so great since the break, finding that lineup that works so well for them. What do you see as the key to deciding this one?
You've got contrasting things happening with these two teams, right? Like, the Bulls have been great in their last 10 games on the road. In their last 10 on the road, they've been 8-2. But the Raptors have been able to protect their home court in the last 15 or so up at the 6. And so that's a tough place to play. I tend to lean toward the Raptors' defensive stats that have kind of been there all season. OG Anunoby leads the league in steals. This is a team that has +5 turnovers per game. They lead the league in that category. And they've just got tremendous length and long defenders on that back end, led largely by Pascal Siakam. Scotty Barnes brings the same thing. Now, interesting ties, right? DeMar DeRozan is going back to Toronto where he was traded. Will that rev up something special in him and his supporting cast in terms of his teammates? But I just think this one probably goes to the Raptors.
Right, their all-time points leader coming back to Toronto. Loser goes home, winner goes on to play the Miami Heat on Friday. Monica, as always, great talking hoops with you. Thanks.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.